Innovative photography and incisive interviewing captures the essence of infamous guitarist Slash. Tonight's Planet Rock Profile.
Tonight on Planet Rock Profiles, we're going to talk to one of the most famous guitarists of the past decade. Born in England in 1965, but raised in California from the age of 11, Saul Hudson, better known as Slash, is the ultimate hard rock, hard-living guitarist. In the late 1980s, his band released an album which is one of the biggest selling debut albums in the history of recorded music. It's called Appetite for Destruction, and they're called Guns N' Roses. Now the thing about it is that Guns N' Roses are on a sabbatical at the moment, even though they became the biggest rock band on the planet in the early 1990s. And while they're on that sabbatical, Slash's itchy feet and itchy fingers has resulted in the formation of a new band called Slash's Snakepit. All right, listen, tell us then, Slash, first of all, about the album. I mean, the fact that there's a Snakepit album on release, was it always meant to be an album, or did you just go to the studio with some friends?
It was really just, I mean, at the start of it, it was a step-by-step kind of thing. It was, at first it was just a bunch of us hanging out and really just sort of enjoying each other's company. And then it turned into jamming and coming up with new riffs and stuff like that. And then we got, you know, at first it was only two of us. It was Matt and myself. And then after that, then Gilby got involved. And then we met Mike Inez, mysteriously showed up at a party one night I was having. I don't even know Mike. Well, at least I didn't know him at the time. So then Mike showed up, and Matt, you know, told me, you know, he's the guy from Alice in Chains. So I got whatever. He's a good bass player. So he came up and he brought this whole new sort of vibe to it. And then all of a sudden it seemed like a band, and it was so much fun doing it. The whole sort of the best way to put it would be sort of that random kind of just guys jamming together and having a communication, a bonding just through the playing, you know, and as personalities, without the rock star shit, without all the other stuff. It was just enjoying playing together, and that is what started it. And then we went in and made a record without even any vocals. We just sort of put arrangements together that we thought on a music level sounded really good. So then we thought, well, who's going to sing? And, you know, there was a lot of different thoughts thrown around, like I could sing, or maybe we'd get all our different friends to come in and sing on different songs. But I figured, you know, we should find a singer that sings the whole album. And so that's what we did. We found Eric. And at that point, then it was like, well, we've made a record, we should go tour. And it's just sort of like built up as it went, all the way up till now.
So was it easy to find Eric? I mean, was he the first choice?
No, he was number 41. We're going to get him a T-shirt that says number 41 on it.
Yeah. But did you find him?
He was recommended by Mark Danzeisen, who is Gilby Clarke's ex-drummer.
Right. And like, I mean, he used to be in a band called Jellyfish. Did you know the Jellyfish album? You never heard, like, a brilliant.
No, the funny thing about this particular band is that images and all that shit aside, it was based purely on the fact that he could sing. I never met the guy before I heard him sing, so it was really a rarity in these days of like glamour and like trying to have a pose and so on and so forth. It was based on a tape that I heard him sing one of the songs, and he wrote a song called Beggars and Hangers On, which turned out to be our first single.
Try to take you from me. Someone with a bottle in his pocket about everything you see. Beggars and hangers only, chipping away. Bury your soul in the river, 'cause the end is here to stay. disappear. Better days are far behind me. Guess that's another cross I'll have to bear.
Okay, well, no matter what kind of rapport there is between a musician, like a guitarist, and the rest of a band, there's got to be something between the lead singer and between the guitarist. So, what is it about you and Eric?
Yeah,
I mean, is it that you're urban and that he's sort of from the sticks, if you like?
Well, the thing is, the main thing about Snakepit is it's a bunch of backline guys.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing. There's no lead singer, lead guitar player sort of hierarchy there. You know, with Guns N' Roses, I admit, yeah, there is a certain kind of focus on, say, Axl and myself. But with this band, it was an equal amount of effort from all the guys involved. And so Eric, being a rhythm guitar player, lead guitar player from Jellyfish, he doesn't have that sort of lead singer attitude. So really, it's just a garage band of a bunch of equals.
Well, I would have thought that maybe you would have tried vocals.
I don't have the personality for it. I did try it. I mean, some of the songs that I did write lyrics for on the album, I did sing at first, but only just to write them. But to go out in front of a microphone, for one, I can't stand still that long. And for two, I mean, I can't even look at the audience when I'm playing my guitar, let alone standing up there singing to them. You know?
Okay, well then what's so important and what's so different than what you were doing, say, between 87 and, say, 92, 93, in terms of being up there live on stage? You're playing more sort of, if you like, friendlier, warmer places. Is that something that you have needed and something you had missed in those 7 or 8 years?
I wouldn't have traded the last 4 months of touring for anything. Just to be able to go back and I hate to even, it sort of even irks me to go back and re-establish in my mind what it is that made me start playing in the first place. But after getting to a certain point and you're playing in stadiums and you sort of lose touch with reality, so to speak, to go back and re-establish in my mind what the whole thing's about, to get into clubs and to be able to deal with an audience on a toe-to-toe basis where you can actually touch each other. It's like almost like we're all hanging out in the same room and there's no difference between the audience and the band. There's no amount of money I would have traded for that experience to go back and do that.
Well then, the last 6 months, what will that bring to when you now get Guns N' Roses back together again?
I have no idea at the moment. I mean, that's something that I wanted to do when we did the spaghetti incident, but there was a little bit of a difference of opinion about the subject with Axl. So I need to, you know, when this Donington show's over, my main thing is I have to go back and reconstitute the relationship between Axl and I, and obviously the other members of Guns N' Roses. And try to figure out what the hell we're doing, because now that I've been out for a while and seen what's actually going on, since Axl's been out there, I need to sort of communicate with him what actually goes on. Maybe he'll understand me, maybe he won't, you know.
It's a nightmare. It's the needle in your veins. Tell me how to do it, how to do what I'm gonna do, how to keep the light inside of you, baby. You're dead. Tell me how to do it, how to do what I'm gonna do to keep it all inside of you, baby. I'm here. You'll never turn. What you really thinking? What did you need? All those wounds, they forever bleed. Struggling
Okay, well then, like when you were like many years ago, like I mean, you were brought up in Britain, but then from the age of 11, you were brought up in California. When you got that first guitar, say from your grandmother, did that change you as a person? Did that change other people's perception of you? Like you were suddenly a cool guy, and maybe a bit of a geek before that.
Thanks. Okay.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm only asking.
No. The way that happened was I was just pretty much an outcast from even when I lived here in England, because I always had long hair and I was always wearing holey jeans. It was just a different. The average, preschooler doesn't walk around like that. And then when I moved to LA, when I was in school, I was living in a pretty substandard area, but I was going to a decent school, and all the kids there it was all about, having certain kinds of shirts and certain kinds of pants and so on. I just did my same trip, so I was always very outcast. When I started playing guitar, I didn't even give a shit about that at all. The pressure was sort of off. I just stopped dealing with it altogether. Then all of a sudden, everybody thought it was cool. I don't really understand the psychology behind that.
With your family, I mean, the current Snakepit album, the cover, it's very much a collaboration, and everybody's there but your mother, by the sound of things, because you've all got some sort of artistic.
I drew the actual snake thing, the S, and then I gave it to my brother, who gave it to one of his employees, who spray painted it on a wall. We took a photo of it, and then my dad helped me to art direct it, to put the arrangement together.
Well, what's the biggest thing for you then in terms of like a drug? Is it live on stage? Is it playing? Is that the one thing you always want to do? Because you've done loads of guest appearances too over the last few years.
I like playing. I mean, I dig playing. I dig the interaction between myself and other musicians, and making something happen out of ambiguous kind of relationship, and I like touring, I like traveling, and traveling to play. That's what touring is all about, I suppose.
Getting back to the Snakepit album, it was recorded in a very short space of time. I get the impression that in the studio the most important thing was feel, not perfection.
It was not perfection. It was more about we were just having a good time. If the take felt good, then we used it. So usually that was like, after learning the song, that was the first part, because we wrote them so quick. After learning the song, then we'd play it, until we could play it all the way through once or twice. And then we'd record 1 or 2 takes after that, and that was it.
'Cause you can't give it back, neither can I, neither can I, no. Mommy and Daddy, I borrowed the car to sleep on the floor. I'm sorry so much for bringing my living hell to your door. But things have gotten heavy. Everything was deep. Nothing really mattered. So I just went to sleep. I just went to sleep. And I can't give it back.
What about the actual lifestyle then? Is there much less pressure this time around? Is this the way you want to do it on the road?
Well, it's a rock and roll band. I think a lot of people have gotten, either they're trying to be so esoteric that they're trying too hard, or I don't know, maybe they're losing the feel of what the rock and roll attitude, as far as I'm concerned, is supposed to be about. There's a lot of great bands out there that have it down pat because that's the way they are. Being in a rock and roll band, you have to just be you. That's the main thing. You can't listen to your manager or your record company people or anything like that. You just have to do what it is that you do. And if that's the type of person that you are, that rock and roll is sort of in your blood, I hate to sound so corny, but where it's something that pumps inside you, then you don't conform to anybody else's standards, which unfortunately a lot of people in this business are privy to.
Okay, well then what about getting married? I mean, that changes even more in the last year than going out on the road with Snakepit. I mean, over the last couple of years, is it good, bad, or indifferent, or what? Does it ground you?
Let's see. I gotta relax here for a second. You asked the question so fast. All right. Getting married has been great because I love my wife very much. But at the same time, I don't change very easily, and so there's a lot of like checks and balances in the relationship where I have to adhere to certain needs she has, and she has to deal with me, basically. And so we've been pretty harmonious. You know, it's been almost 3 years, so we're doing pretty good.
Well, have you actually had to sort of like change your life, or just adjust, if you like, to deal with the pressures presented by the Guns N' Roses personal problems?
Guns N' Roses' personal problems have been there ever since it started. It's just the bigger the band gets, the more amplified they are, you know, and it just seems, from a public point of view, it almost seems excessive. But it's the same basic shit that it's always gone on. It's just now it's on a bigger scale.
What about the bit about in public, about having to do things and just being able to play now in Snakepit? I mean, you weren't just sort of the front person in terms of having to talk about all these Guns N' Roses stories. You were also the peacemaker in public. Did that sort of role, whether you like it or not, whether it was put on your shoulders or whether you took it, did that role eventually just annoy you?
I'm still